Securing your shit and finding the safest place to be. Well, that's the heading of a video that I did 2 years ago. Because I was about to talk about some of this stuff just now. And then I remembered, hang on, didn't I do a video back in 2019? And the funny thing is, I just went back and actually just skimmed through some of the content there. I only spent about 2 minutes, so I probably would have missed a lot because it's about a half an hour video, I think it is. I'm going to link it here because it's funny how I did it before the pandemic, but the things that I was explaining there, like one of the things that I stopped on was about getting your, if you had the ability to, even if it's a pay cut, get yourself in a position where you can work remotely on something that's going to have a steady income stream as far as companies aren't going to get shut down by any situation. I also mentioned countries that have don't have a supply chain issues that can give you, well, basically that you can that don't. A lot of places in the world don't have a big selection of food. So, for example, I mentioned Bulgaria before. Romania's got a little bit more because Bucharest has got larger shops. They've got a big new shopping mall there now, actually, in Bucharest. So you get further to the west, and like your Lidls and your Aldis or whatever they call them, Hoffers in some countries that Aldi's called, they'll have more and more as you get towards Austria. They'll be fully stocked. You get towards, let's say, Romania and stuff like that they won't be so fully stocked, but the shelves are sparse and spaced out. Bulgaria as well, very spaced out, right? The reason why that is because most of the people eat stuff from their local shops that are locally produced food. The diet's not that great. I'm gonna admit right now. And actually, in a lot of the former Yugoslav Republic states, again, the food's not that great. It's better on the west side of the Balkans than it is on the east side of the Balkans, in my opinion. I've still had decent meals. I can't say I've had any fantastic meals in Bulgaria. I have had a couple of fantastic meals in Slovenia, but for the most part, the food is pretty plain and bland. Sorry, guys. I've traveled a lot. I've seen a lot of things. I've eaten a lot of food, as you can see by my triple chin. But yeah, the things I was saying a while ago is not just what the nomad capitalist always says to people. That is, and because he put it in better words than what I've put it in the whole time I've been doing YouTube, which is go to where you're treated best. People tend to flog a dead horse. They get this patriotism, and let's face it. All the things that people said for years, like, oh, they come and take my gold out, things I've listened to when I was living in America. They'll take my lead before they take my gold, Really? Because what have people really done? Everyone's just bent the knee. They're all in the position that they think if they comply, and people are saying this quite a lot because it's true. If I comply, it will go away. If I give the bully my lunch money, maybe he won't beat me up this time. And then the bully just beats you up. Just what are you expecting? You have to fight tyranny, or you need to get away from where that tyranny is. That's your only two options, unless you want to be a system slave, unless you want to be the bully's victim. And right now, most governments in the world are being bullies. Some are probably preparing to be bullies and aren't being yet. Some maybe haven't been paid enough. They're still not sure whether they want to do the bidding of the PFIZER and other companies out there, or the generalist global cartel of parasites. They don't know whether they want to do their bidding yet because they haven't been paid enough. Maybe because the SOROSs of the world and the GATESs of the world, rubbing their hands. And I don't know if you saw that William Stakes interview or media. I don't know. The woman was actually asking him real questions, but then when she noticed he was getting uncomfortable and rubbing his hands like a typical PEDO would do when faced with these you can see, his body language screams guilt. Isn't that a funny thing about Melvin P? Not Melvin P. I was copying another channel actually. He calls him Melvin P. Gates. But the Creepy Creep Show, the Mr. Microsoft himself, I think it's quite obvious that the guy is. I mean, put it this way: I thought for years that Michael Jackson wasn't guilty, and it turns out he was, right? And Mr. Microsoft, it's written all over his face, his mannerisms, his actions. It's unavoidable now. Anyway, countries like New Zealand have received a hell of a lot of money, and not just that, have donated. I don't know if you're aware of this, but New Zealand's Prime Minister, who's a poster child for this new globalism, this new taking away of all of our freedoms internationally, because the veil is coming off, and effectively, I don't know, maybe a good at least 50 countries in this world, of the major countries in this world, are all in cahoots, and the veil is coming off, and they don't mind showing us now. I've been mentioning for a couple of years now on this channel, and on this series, which was on another channel before. I'm going to link that video, by the way, the Red Pill Diaries video from 2 years ago, as it wasn't on this channel. I tried to get around the censorship, and then so delete all these videos, and then put this RPD stuff on this channel. But within weeks, I started getting strikes and stuff like that, and even some of my old content. So it didn't make any difference. They get on you straight away. They're Anyway, what am I talking about? I'm talking about where you go to be safe, where you go to evade things. There is no safe place, right? I've got a lot of friends in New Zealand who are waking up to the fact that, oh, damn, we really thought New Zealand was a safe place, and now we understand what you were saying was true. This is a social engineering petri dish, always has been, and it's only a matter of time before they lock people up and put them in camps. And look what's happening in Victoria. Very glad, actually. It's one place that never. I spent some time in Melbourne, and my ex-wife decided to live there. I decided on Sydney, and then quickly against that, and then Queensland, and also Perth. And I probably would have ended up settling in Perth. It's away from most of civilization. I don't really know how it's going, because I don't really speak to many of my friends over in Perth or New Zealand anymore, to be honest with you. What it is, I've actually gone through, besides cutting people out of my life, on a grand scale now. I mean, I used to know a lot of people. Actually, I still know a lot of people. But as far as having them in my life now, I've got very few people in my life. And I like it that way, because I've been through a lot this year. My dog died. He's the most important person in my life. And I've discovered some very profound things. So obviously I've spoken, for anyone who's ever seen this channel before, I've spoken about the fuckery from my father that he's done. The things that he did is just horrendous. I won't even get into it, but enough to say to someone, hey, wow, I really see your true colors, even though you're my you hold your family up in pedestals. I used to. Always saying good things about them all the time, even though my family are actually quite negative and quite insulting constantly. They're all very similar in different ways. They're all narcissists. I come from a family of abusive narcissists, and I was a narcissist myself, I would say. I'd say that everyone is, to varying degrees, because if you have an ego or pride, which everyone does and everyone should, it's about keeping your ego in check and not getting rid of it, right? But you just have different levels of narcissism, and there's 4 main types of narcissist. And my family do fit snugly into into these 4 types, even my mother. And the thing that's the worst discovery of the year was something that my mother did, and it's resulted in me. I bothered to do the mathematics behind it, because why not? I've got time sitting here during endless lockdowns and situations where you can't just travel freely around the world anymore. So it's given me time to look at certain things, and a discovery that I made was that, and to make a short story long, my mum prevented me from being a billionaire intentionally. It's really a multi-billionaire. I will put a minimum of 6.8 billion, and it's just horrendous to think about. But to be honest with you, that's not the thing that actually hurts. It's what I went through in the years, because I'm not actually sure how long she was engaging in this. Could I call it life sabotage? but yeah, it was for such petty, selfish reasons. I'm not going to get into it, but the long and short of it is, I don't have any of my family in my life anymore. The strange thing is, one entity in my life actually tied all their deceit and betrayal together. It's kind of strange, kind of neat in some ways. But anyway, I'm not wasting any more of my life on anyone, family or no family, who don't want the best for me. I've actually recently had one of my best friends be a total see you in next Tuesday to me, and for pittance, for like less than £3,000. The guy's worth a lot of money. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. This, yeah. And another guy who just been negative, and I just cut my losses there. One Bitcoin loss. Oh well. You know, he's actually not a bad guy, but he's just extremely negative, and he just he doesn't even realize how negative he's been. But even when you show him and you actually, he's an intelligent guy as well. So it's not like he's dumb. The other guy's intelligent too. But yeah, very very different scenarios. One is just a guy who's actually I've made the full discovery that the things that I have long thought possible are definitely true about the guy. So I just got him out of my life. But to make yourself a thief for less than $3,000, it's good when life throws you small tests that you can actually, you don't want to test people, but if one comes along, it's like, oh great. So I was in a scenario where I don't want to cash out more crypto. It's actually quite difficult to leave the crypto world. I can do it. It's just that I had to set up this linkage between a bank account and stuff. Bit of a pain in the ass. I've done it now. Hadn't done it then, but it was good to make someone think that you have need, and you can still always get by. You know what I mean? But just to see how they act. It's not a situation when the person doesn't have anything. This guy's just recently sold a couple of properties in the UK, so he's in money, right? He's definitely got money. He's definitely got what he owes me, right? And nothing. Silence, and then you get this gaslighting effect, like he's done once in the past before, where people act like, oh no, just you were being abusive, or the way you were talking to me, I didn't want to respond. No, it happened the other way round. Like, you know, when people try to spin round cause and effect to make it seem like the horse came before the cart, well, that's what this fucker does, right? Anyway, to go by his very own, I know I'm darting all over the place. I will get back to the point, by the way. But when people betray their own ethos in life, like this guy did, you know, because I remember him saying to me about 10 years ago, you know, when someone does that to me, it's like, to me, I see that's your cost. That's how much you're worth. Or you only cost that much to get out of my life. That's the way I've actually now seen it as well. But it's funny how he can't live by his own standards, which is disgusting. And again, easy escape this year through getting parasites, emotional vampires, emotional negative emotion amplifiers, and things like that out of my life. It's cost me just under 100,000 New Zealand dollars. Now, to me, many wouldn't see that as a bargain because that's a lot of money, I know. But to me, it still is a bargain to get people out of my life like that. And now I had a very, very close friend yesterday actually pulling me up on this as if it was something that was like I'm being more like a hermit, or I'm pushing people out, or I'm being nihilistic. It's not the case. I still have a lot of people in my life. I just like to keep everyone at arm's length now, because I think we're at very trying times, and we're at times when people can really screw things up for you. People's propensity and the effects of being a liability, it would be too much to cope with at the moment with what we're facing. And what we're facing is what I talked about in my video 2 years ago. So quite a while before the pandemic. It says 2 years old, the video, but it's actually older than that. It's actually closer to 3 years old. But anyway, it was quite prophetic, because it was talking about collapse. Actually, maybe the previous video was talking about collapse. So you can go check on that channel. I'll give you the link, and maybe check in the previous one that was talking about that we're nearing collapse right now. And the thing is, hey, look what came. Look what came to save the day. Look what came to save face of our various, I would say incompetent leaders, but they're doing their job exactly. It's just that most of the world thinks their job is to serve them, when it's quite clear that's not their job. It's quite clear that they serve these eternal power structures that have been parasiting off the world for generations and generations and generations. For all we know, as I mentioned in my previous video, this could be happening for millennia upon millennia upon millennia. Yeah, I'm not going to make a stand. I'm not going to make an example out of myself. I'm not going to go to America and, Bulgaria and various other places I've got things stashed and start to, I'm not and say, right, that's it. I'm gonna go bug out mode now. I'm not going to run away. But I'm also, as I say, I'm not going to go to America as well, collect my weapons and start making a stand. Fuck that. No one deserves me to do that for them, except my dog and my girlfriend, and my dog's dead. Anyway. So life, I have to say, I've got very low baggage, quite happy. I don't have to put up with people's negativity and shit anymore. Actually, I didn't before either. It was a sentence I gave myself. But anyway, how do you protect yourself? Yourself. And I would say that, you've got to vote with your feet. You're in these countries thinking you're going to change the world, and you're not going to change shit. As the nomad capitalist says, and this rebel capitalist as well, got some pretty good teachings, although he still suffers the US for some reason. Vote with your feet. You don't. First of all, if you did what I said in that video 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, you would have either found a way to start creating your own income through cryptocurrency. Now, I was looking at an old video the other day. Someone was asking me about Hex. Now, look, I don't like Hex. I think it's effectively just a shitcoin scam. Although I was speaking to Richard Hart about it a lot, 2019. And this is back when he was going to do SHA-256. I did a video on it in 2018 because I really liked the plan that he had, and this is why I actually made contact with him back then. Then he modified the idea to be an ERC20 token, which I did understand why he was doing. He did explain himself why he was doing it, because it was the hash power. But he was still going to keep on the ability to claim coins, right? Now, my point that I'm getting at here is, if you'd actually followed my 2018 video on that, $1,000 would have turned you into a multi-millionaire right now. Just saying, my point on this is that there's always opportunities. That's so people can say, oh, I missed out in Bitcoin. You could have made more money than I've ever lost in crypto just by, I've ever lost and I've ever made in crypto, which is a horrendous amount because I've lost so much, just by investing $1,000 in Hex. So just to give you an example, there are avenues. There are jobs where you can freelance yourself, making t-shirts, whatever it might be, just doing someone else's graphic work, self-studying to learn front-end development. I was telling a friend of mine in Serbia, 2018, of what you should get himself into. If you're a coder, move into this area of coding, move into the sought after areas. Don't be a back-end developer, because they don't get paid as much as front-end developers now in many cases. Even though it's more difficult work than front-end development, the front-end developers are more sought after because there's less of them. So, do what's in demand, do what you can work freely and remotely from, do what you can. In many countries, when I was in Bulgaria, I was paying these pittance for some monthly, and also Slovenia, for monthly data contracts, right? This is how you do it. You don't get yourself something in your name. Stay out of the system. Be a welcome visitor in countries, right? So you don't go there and write, oh, I'm going to start protesting now because I don't like the way that the women are treated in this country, or teenagers are treated. Don't go there, right? Go to a place where you can handle the way things are, that you like the people, and then you think, right, can I live here? Right, cool. Now just live. And preferably less than 181 days, because the way that most countries work, as far as most countries will claim you as, America will claim you as owning you for tax purposes for, I think it's 30 days, it might be 28, I think it's 30 days. So don't stay in America longer than 30 days a year. Simple as that. If you've got a US passport, you're probably going to have to get rid of it if you want to be properly free. Although my dad still has one. Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. With the US, I think the way my dad gets around it is he doesn't own a home in America anymore. That's what it is. He sold his house there. So he lives in South Africa now. Anyway, so that's how you basically vote with your feet. There's no point trying to change a country. There's no point trying to go against this massive woke agenda if you're living in a country like New Zealand. Yeah, people are waking up against it and realizing what it's really about. And it's not to help out certain acronyms of people starting with LG. It's not to help out them. It's and all that agenda there is to it's to cause a massive distraction, and it's also to cause what like they do in many countries, like when people from Afghanistan get given benefits that far outshine what the benefits of pensioners who paid taxes their whole life. This is all intentional. You get a lot of these Jew-hating idiots on the what's it called, on BitChute and that they really think it's all. They don't even realize that Jews just get treated the exact same way as everyone else. Just because some of the people who control this world happen to share that same religion, and they tend to be of the Zionist persuasion. Actually, they always are. It doesn't mean that all Jews are in cahoots. It's just, people need to open their eyes and wake up, smell the coffee. This is to set people against each other. The reason that possibly hundreds of thousands of Jews were killed during the Second World War, along with gypsies and everything else, was because they were expendable lives to be used to build the narrative that we now have that makes these people that aren't even real Jews completely impervious to the measure that any of the rest of us will have. So now they can engage in apartheid, and no one can say, right, we won't come out with their pickets and go against it. Why? Because they're protected now. They're protected among a scenario that they created, And who were the victims? Well, of course, Polish and Gypsies and the Vichy French and many others. But a lot of Jews. Of course, Russians. Hey, don't forget the nation that we keep on turning our back on that actually saved all of our asses, including America. Let's pretend it was America that saved us from the Nazis. This is ridiculous. Like 20 million Russians get killed. Anyway, so the world's a pretty crazy place, and I would actually say that you need to start shopping around and go to where you're treated best. And don't just find one place. I mean, look, I'll tell you what, I've gone before you guys and flipping over every pancake to find out what's underneath it, There's a few places that you might want to be. Colombia, maybe Peru, a lot of these places, even when you go there, you get to stay away from all the touristy spots and where all the foreigners go to, like where all the foreigners go to in maybe with the exception of Mexico, but with what do you call it, Costa Rica and stuff like that. Yeah, just try go in the jungle a bit more. You know what I mean? Just try live your what's it called, self-subsistence lifestyle. Be okay. Or go to anywhere that produces its own food, with the exception of New Zealand. New Zealand is the only place in the world that produces its own food to send most of it around the world, the highest quality stuff around the world, and the people in receipt of that food around the world pay far less. This is after shipping it all the way around the globe, right? They pay far less than what you pay in New Zealand for the lesser quality stuff, right? New Zealand is a total scam, a rip-off nation, and it's a petri dish for social engineering and this new form of neo-feudalism that we have, and which is effectively all the worst aspects of capitalism, communism, fascism, socialism, Marxist socialism. There's different types. I would actually say even the Nazi style of socialism too, because by the way, they were actually socialists too. They just weren't Marxist socialists. There's different types of socialism. They were also capitalists as well. That's why we need to understand that this whole idea about being left or right, you are buying into uh, distraction for idiots, because that's what it really is. Left and right politics is distraction for idiots. It's the same. It's the same totalitarian powers that get in control, no matter what you do. It's no matter who you think this maverick is, that maverick. Where even though Donald Trump is, if you're if you're being honest and not looking at it with tainted lenses or tainted lefty lenses, um, you'll recognize that he was probably one of the best presidents in recent times. But if you're completely fooled by propaganda, then you'll think he's one of the worst. Regardless, is whether you think he's fantastic. He is not the maverick that you think he is. I've said this many times because people are still sending this stupid Q-tard stuff around like it's actually got any validity to it. He's not your savior. He's not going to come back and rescue you. He's not going to come back and make things okay and make things fair. He is Mr. Jab himself. He's the one who gave all these companies this legal indemnity. No, he's not going to save you. Tulsi Gabbard, yeah, I was a little bit fooled by her as well. I still reckon she's okay, but the reality is, I really do believe that even if someone is okay, that the second they get in power, they will not be, right? I reckon that when we look, Biden looks more coherent now than he did 2 years ago. So I don't know, maybe that was the effects of, he still looks like a raving lunatic, and he still looks like a guy who has late stage dementia. But the fact that he's still going along, I mean, I remember watching people with dementia when I was around an auntie of mine, and a disabled auntie, so I had to spend a lot of time around these fucking places. It was horrible. But yeah, so I remember watching the degradation of some of these people, and I don't know, they could have been giving him drugs, definitely, to make him cope during these certain times, which does explain the effects where it's it's like a sine wave that's growing larger and larger as far as his coherence, and then also how incoherent he gets at some stages. So I would say that there's a good chance that not only has he been given drugs, but also what we were actually witnessing was probably the technology which I've pointed out in the past, government technology, MK Ultra stuff. I think this was those things taking hold, like the side effects of whatever MK Ultra actually is, whether it's some synthetic drug or whether it's something else. We don't know, but we do know that they have some forms of mind control. We already know that scopolamine exists as well. I mean, God, these drugs exist in nature. God's sakes, why aren't governments going to use them? Of course they are. We've already seen Obama, very well spoken, and then appear to be a total dummy other times. I'd argue we've seen Trump doing the same thing, actually. So I think that I'm not sure what's controlling all this. I'm pretty sure it's just a group of human beings that are privileged. I'm pretty sure that they've been exposed many times in the past, although this is a continual cover-up effort. And we have seen that these secret societies, they do have a rule book where they have to show you their hand. And look, knowing that that's how they operate, well, the hands that have been shown to us already, you have to be a special kind of yogurt not to understand what's going on around you. Anyway, as I say, I'm not. You gotta find place. Okay, let me just give you the quick rundown. Find a place that has no supply chain issues. And you think, well, everywhere has supply chain issues. Well, not really. You got to base it on what you need and what people around you feel they need, right? Because what you need is not very much, actually. The country doesn't need new cars because people have enough cars in every country in the world. Maybe they can make them last a bit longer. Look at Cuba. Look how Cuba managed to draw out that and make cars last longer. Yeah, well, that's not a big issue then, is it? The fact that there's not enough to make new Suzukis or to make door switches on the new Honda Accord, whatever. It doesn't mean shit. What does mean things is, are your main staples still going to come in? And in many countries, that answer is no. And in other countries, it's you might do as long as the supply chain stays open, as long as there's shipping route. Well, what you should be looking at, and what I think the future holds, is hopefully a collapse in these shipping routes, because there's almost nothing that can't be grown in vertical farms and hydroponic situations that you need to take around the world from other nations. You don't need this swapping of currencies, this trade. You can actually have internal trade and minimize the global trade. So, for example, if I have a patent on something and I'm the only person producing it, yeah, then fair enough, it has to be shipped from that place. Although I would like to see a world. I mean, this is coming from a guy who's invented a shit ton of stuff in my life. I don't mind making, open license for anything. I just think where we are in this world, where even Tesla comes along and he creates these green energy situations, but he doesn't gift it to mankind. I think the writing's on the wall now. These people won't give you money for stuff; they'll just disappear you instead. So the best thing you can do is make your blueprints and or your recipes, whatever it is, and just gift it to humanity in a manner that can't. So, for example, don't put up a YouTube video. Go into YouTube, but go into every platform, all the ones that can't be censored, and you share that shit around. If you do put it on YouTube, you make sure that YouTube shows you the link to the platforms that can't be, suppressed so easily. Because how important is it really to make some money? Look, I'll tell you right now, I'm a wealthy person. I can't afford to go anywhere. You know why? Because I can't afford to get in a situation where someone's going to make an example of me, but by not complying with whatever passport mandate they think of next, or get trapped out of the places I want to be in, the safe places that I want to be in, that actually do have food, that do have access to the ocean, that do have, I'm very wary of even jumping on a plane and going somewhere like Thailand or something like that, because who knows how stuff's going to change. I had people working with me from Vietnam, and how their country kind of controlled things during COVID was basically to treat every foreigner like some infected scum. China did the same thing against black people, and of course in Ghana they started being anti-Chinese as a result as well. Do you really think this is a coincidence, a mistake? No, this is by design. They want to set us against each other, the same way that in Britain years ago and today they want to create anti-Islamic, for better or worse, whatever. I don't believe that Islam brings anything great to Britain, but I also don't believe that it's an accident that that if you come from these countries, you get given more than pensioners who've paid taxes their whole life. I think it's by design. I think it's by design that the Maoris in New Zealand get given things very easily, get Maori grants, and yet they talk about can get togetherness and that they're all New Zealanders. Well, if so, then why do they get preferential treatment? Because they have 132-part Maori in them. It's to create animosity, of course. It's to generate racism. So in the future, when they start picking people off, it becomes easier because they're not going to get defended by others. It's to spend years and years and years, have people virtue signaling only to wake up and find, damn, I was actually virtue signaling. Oh, life's the complete opposite. Oh, no, I'm so hurt now. Red pill rage for the next 5 years. That's what it's all for. Well, I was going to stop the video, but I can't do it now because it's 33 minutes. I just won't do that. So, find yourself safe places to be, as far as places where you're allowed to own weaponry is a big one. Let me tell you, it's a very profound thing that happened. My friend is a female, and she had the reason that's important. I'll just get to. I know a lot of people have had ayahuasca DMT, and throughout the years, the first time I heard was 20 odd years ago. A friend of mine, Toby. So it was always like, oh yeah, cool. It led me to doing a lot of these things in my life. You know what I mean? Why I've tried pretty much everything you can throw at me, right? And because of what I saw in these people, they got next level in life, So anyway, I've never heard anyone being told anything that's kind of violent like this, and again being a woman, but she got told, buy guns, get guns and prepare. That's what she got told during her ayahuasca trip, which is fucking quite profound, I'm thinking. Anyway, yeah, so I think quite bad times are coming, but you want to be somewhere where you can at least defend yourself, and if that's just If that's just having a farm or you have a shotgun, then so be it. Because that's just because you might not be able to have a shotgun if you have a lifestyle block, for example. So maybe you have to get a full-blown farm to have the excuse to have one. Because it's very hard if you're a foreigner to get a hunting license in certain places, in most of the world. So if you don't have citizenship, even if you do have citizenship and you're not what's it called, naturalized, where you're born there, it can be difficult. In Japan, for example, you're never going to be a Japanese if you're, if you're a foreigner, you're never going to be Japanese. Just the way it is. And there's variations in different amount of this in different countries. Unfortunately, the UK, as I just finished commenting about, is the total opposite. The UK is the cuck nation, where everyone's treated better except for your own people. But then if you're a woman, and especially if you're a woman with dark skin, you're at the top of the ladder. Well, just below the foreign migrants. They have nothing positive to bring to your country. They're at number one, level first class, A plus first class, and you've got minorities, A plus, and then you've got your white women, your A's, and then you got your delta and gamma level, which is white males. That is how it is, and that's how it is in a number of other countries, in Canada, for example. So, find places that you can either grow food that your government will leave you alone, and if you can't, go to where you're treated best, as the nomad capitalist says all the time. And that's all I can suggest, other than watching that video that I did almost 3 years ago now, to see how prophetic it actually was. I hate to blow my own trumpet, but I like to blow my own trumpet. All right, take care. Have a good day. Bye.